In this video, we're going to talk about ozone. We're going to talk about why natural ozone is important, and we're going to talk a little bit about the ozone hole and how it got there. So, from the previous video, we learned that all of the Earth's natural ozone occurs in the stratosphere. Now, if you remember the temperature profile video, we know that temperature actually increases as we go higher up in the stratosphere. And why is that? Well, ozone, or natural ozone, is a great absorber of harmful solar radiation. So, if ozone is found in this layer, and we know that ozone will absorb harmful solar radiation or solar radiation in general, it makes sense that temperature will actually increase as we go higher up in the stratosphere. But let's learn a little bit more about ozone and why ozone is important and actually how ozone was created in the first place. Well, what happens is that in the stratosphere, sunlight will come in and it basically will destroy or it will rip apart a natural oxygen molecule. So oxygen molecules, they're made up of two parts oxygen, or what is known as O2 for short. So what happens is that when the sun's energy comes in and pulls apart those oxygen molecules, that lone oxygen molecule will actually try to find a new friend group to hang out with, and it will try to find other oxygen molecules that haven't been pulled apart by the sun's energy, and it will attach themselves to that pairing. So instead of O2, we now have O3, which is what ozone is. And so this is a naturally occurring thing in our atmosphere. The sun's rays come in, pulls apart an oxygen molecule, it attaches itself to another pairing and becomes O3. And so that's how natural ozone is actually created in the stratosphere. But maybe you've heard of the ozone hole before. Now, the ozone hole was discovered in the early 1980s, and it was actually one of the first environmental problems or issues that society actually solved. And so what they found was is that from the 1940s or the late 1940s, early 1950s through the 1970s, society was creating what are called chlorofluorocarbons or CFCs. And CFCs were basically compounds that were in aerosols like hairspray, Lysol spray, anything that was a spray and that it was actually harmful to our atmosphere, and we didn't necessarily know about it until about 1980. So, what chlorofluorocarbons do is that when UV radiation comes in, it will actually, similar to how it creates ozone, it will actually pull apart a chlorine molecule from the chlorofluorocarbon chain. That lone chlorine molecule will therefore detach one of the ozone molecules and then will pair it to another lone oxygen molecule. So basically, what a CFC does in the stratosphere is that it pulls apart ozone molecules and will make them into just pure oxygen again. So it basically undoes what the sun naturally does in the stratosphere. So it basically will just undo it. So we noticed in 1980 that this was a huge issue, and we noticed that ozone is a really good thing, or natural ozone in the stratosphere is a really good thing, because without ozone, humans or life in general, plants, animals, we would be more susceptible to harmful amounts or greater harmful amounts of solar radiation. So, if we didn't have the ozone layer, or if we did not address this problem, you would see humans or animals with higher increases in skin cancer. There would be more mutations in plants, and it would not be a good thing whatsoever. So, the banning of chlorofluorocarbons in 1980 was underway, and you notice that the ozone hole began shrinking from 1980 to about present day. Now, it's important to note that it takes a long time for these chlorofluorocarbons to basically deplete or get out of our atmosphere. So, you noticed here that the ozone hole is slowly decreasing, but over the last couple of years, it really hasn't gotten any bigger or smaller. However, the problem is slowly getting better. It just takes a long time for those chlorofluorocarbons to basically get out of the stratosphere. But because we're not making these byproducts anymore, we're not producing CFCs, we've changed the way that we actually manufacture aerosols. If we're not making any more CFCs, we are actually helping the problem. So that is what the ozone hole is. That is why ozone is important in the first place. And this is how mankind has fixed the problem.